You ask Claude for a complex research report. It gives you a remarkably clean, confident answer. You read it, and it sounds perfectly logical, but, you walk away wondering if you can actually trust it, because no one challenged the answer before handing it to you.
Read. Yeah, the AI just patches together a very smooth narrative. It naturally avoids any friction or conflicting data points.
Welcome to today's deep dive. We are exploring a totally different approach for your workflow today. We're breaking down a really powerful method to analyze sources. It's heavily inspired by Stanford's STORM project.
We'll explore what STORM actually is. Then we'll show you how to split Claude into 5 conflicting expert lenses.
We will map their contradictions carefully. And finally, we'll verify the synthesized output together. Beat. I have to admit something early on here. I still wrestle with trusting AI summaries myself. It's just too easy to accept a confident-sounding paragraph.
Oh, we all do it. Because it saves us so much time, right? But that convenience comes with a massive hidden cost. You end up accepting assumptions that were never properly tested.
Our mission today is to fix that exact problem. This is how you stop trusting fake AI confidence.
But before we fix Claude's blind spots, we need some context. We need to understand the fundamental flaw in standard AI research.
Right. Standard prompts just ask for a final draft immediately.
Exactly. Stanford recognized this flaw and built STORM to fix it. STORM is a very long, very academic acronym. Stands for Synthesis of Topic Outlines Through Retrieval and Multi-Perspective Question Asking.
I am very glad they shortened that to STORM.
Yeah, me too. It's quite a mouthful. But the core philosophy is actually beautifully simple. Better research always starts with asking much better questions.
It does not start with writing a better draft.
Right. STORM focuses entirely on the pre-writing stage of your research.
That's the exact opposite of how we normally work. We usually just open the chat and demand an outline. We rush straight to the final written product. We just, skip the entire discovery phase.
We do. And the Stanford data shows exactly why rushing fails. Using this multi-perspective method yields incredible measurable results. Articles become 25% better organized overall.
That's huge.
It is. This is compared to standard AI outline generation.
So the logical flow is significantly stronger for the reader.
Right, and the actual topic coverage becomes 10% broader. It finds interesting angles you would have completely missed otherwise. The system collects sources, asks questions, and builds an outline first.
It does all this before any actual writing begins. We should clarify a very important distinction for you right now. We are applying STORM's core principles directly into your Claude chat. We are not using the official Stanford software today.
We're just adapting their brilliant logic for everyday use. It makes the methodology accessible to anyone with an AI chat.
Think of standard prompting, like asking one person for directions. They might confidently send you straight into a muddy ditch. STORM is like putting 5 grumpy locals in a room. You make them argue and agree on the best route.
I love that. Those grumpy locals know all the hidden roadblocks. They know the clever shortcuts. They pressure test the route before you even start driving. 2-sec silence.
So the core shift is changing how we ask rather than focusing on the drafting.
Exactly. Generating better questions before the actual drafting even begins.
Since better questions are the key, we need those grumpy locals. We need to figure out who is asking these questions. We have to define these experts carefully.
The biggest flaw of a single prompt is surprisingly simple. And a prompt is just these specific text instructions you type into the AI. A single prompt always have massive, unavoidable blind spots.
It only looks at the problem from one specific angle.
Yeah, exactly. So we need to introduce multiple experts to Claude. You tell Claude to adopt 5 specific expert lenses. You give it the topic and your specific role. You also state the specific decision you're trying to make.
This context stops the AI from giving generic, useless answers. It gives each expert lens a very clear, distinct job. Let's deeply examine these 5 default lenses for you. First, we have the practitioner lens. What is their main focus?
They focus entirely on what works in the real world. They want to know how this idea is actually implemented.
So they care about execution, not just high-level academic theory. They want to know if it survives contact with reality.
Second is the academic lens. They act like a strict university professor grading a paper. They care deeply about research quality and strict evidence standards.
They demand to see the actual peer-reviewed proof behind claims. They refuse to accept anecdotal evidence or flashy marketing spin.
Right. Third is the skeptic lens. They push back incredibly hard on assumptions and weak claims. They are the ultimate devil's advocate in the room.
I imagine the skeptic is constantly looking for the hidden catch. They want to know why a seemingly great idea might fail.
Fourth is the economist lens. They focus heavily on cost, return on investment, and market logic. They meticulously follow the money to see if it makes sense.
The economist lens stops us from loving ideas that bankrupt us. They keep the entire project grounded in financial reality.
And fifth is the historian lens. They look at past patterns that are repeating in the present. They give us the crucial context of time and precedent.
The historian prevents us from repeating the exact same past mistakes. They remind us that very few problems are entirely new.
When 5 different perspectives study the exact same topic, sparks fly. They aggressively push back on each other's core assumptions. That applied pressure makes the final output much more reliable.
There is a crucial instruction you must remember here. You must tell Claude to report each lens completely separately. You must do this before moving on to the next step.
If Claude combines them too early, it ruins the entire process. It completely defeats the purpose of the pressure test. You just get a bland, averaged-out summary instead.
It basically waters down the specific insights of each grumpy local. Check if it gathers the distinct sources first. If it gives one combined answer, stop the generation immediately. Ask it to separate the 5 distinct lenses first. Save the grand synthesis for later. 2-sec silence. Why must they report independently first? Why not just ask for a summary right away?
To stop the AI from blending them into a bland compromise too early.
So we have 5 highly opinionated expert reports. They are just sitting there in the chat, completely separated. What happens when they inevitably disagree with each other? Because if they are doing their jobs, they will definitely fight.
Step 2 is where the real analytical magic happens. You push Claude to carefully map where the lenses disagree. You do this by sending a specific new prompt.
We want to clearly see the friction between the experts. We are looking for the exact points of contention.
Exactly. Instead of accepting each lens at face value, you probe them. Ask which underlying assumptions are actively contradicting each other right now. Ask which specific lens has the weakest supporting evidence overall.
Wait, but if I am forcing Claude to map these disagreements, doesn't that just confuse the AI completely during the process? Like, if the economist says a project is just too expensive, but the practitioner says we absolutely have to do it anyway, how does the AI not just freeze up or water it down?
That is the genius of separating the mapping from the synthesis. You are not asking for a final decision right now. You are just asking it to highlight the friction points clearly.
Why do these specific disagreements matter so much to the listener?
They signal weak assumptions that are cleverly hidden in the data. They highlight unverified claims that sound very good initially. They expose fragile conclusions that fall apart under new evidence.
Do not let Claude casually skip over the small conflicts. Make it flag every single point of conflict clearly. In practice, that is exactly where the biggest risks hide.
This step makes the research infinitely more useful for you. You can clearly see which ideas are actually structurally sound. You see which ones need much more evidence before trusting them.
So we've got these 5 experts arguing in a digital room. They're pointing out each other's hidden blind spots. But at the end of the day, I still need one cohesive report. How do we take that messy debate and synthesize it cleanly?
Now we finally move to step 3, synthesizing everything into one unified, structured report. Now Claude stops acting like 5 separate argumentative experts. It becomes one unified, highly rational voice for you.
But there is a crucial waiting rule here for the synthesis. Conclusions supported by multiple lenses carry much more weight.
That keeps the final report properly focused and grounded. It stops it from treating every single finding as equally important. If the academic and the practitioner agree, that is gold.
Where lenses conflict, it must present both sides objectively, then have Claude explain which side actually has stronger evidence. This makes the final answer much easier to trust. Stronger ideas are cleanly separated from weaker, unsupported opinions. 2-sec silence. Do we completely discard the ideas that only one lens supported during synthesis?
No, just set them aside for deeper review before trusting them.
We will be right back after a quick word.
Mid-roll sponsor break.
And we are back. Even with a carefully weighted synthesis, things can get tricky. AI can still hallucinate confidence very easily on complex topics. And hallucination is just when AI confidently presents false information as fact. How do we ensure the draft is actually grounded in reality?
Step 4 is the crucial verify step. This is where we double-check the maps of our grumpy locals. You force Claude to fact-check the entire synthesized draft. You make it meticulously score all the original sources.
It uses 3 specific labels for this rigorous process. First is the confirmed label. This means the source fully and demonstrably supports the claim.
Second is the corrected label. This means the original claim needs adjustment based on actual facts. The AI essentially caught itself stretching the truth.
Third is the demoted label. The source just isn't strong enough to back the claim up. Maybe it was just an opinion piece, not actual research.
This verification step is absolutely vital for your ultimate trust. It stops the report from sounding overly confident, especially when it is actually resting on very weak evidence.
The output structure makes this incredibly easy to read. It starts with a clean 60-second executive summary. This is perfect for anyone who is desperately short on time.
Yeah, it's super helpful. Then it logically lists the key findings ranked by reliability. Next, it clearly shows the reliability scores for each distinct point. Finally, it gives you a deeply detailed source review.
Here is a pro tip for your workflow. Always read those reliability scores before you read anything else. Conclusions heavily backed by multiple lenses are generally safe to use.
Let's bring in some real-world examples for this process. We need to prove exactly why this rigorous method matters. Let's deeply examine the AI wage premium claim.
A standard prompt might boldly say there's a 43% premium. It sounds very specific and highly believable at first glance.
But the verify step actually corrects this specific claim. It forces the AI to look closer at the underlying methodology. It reveals PwC's actual calculated figure is 56%, and they base that on nearly 1 billion job postings.
The 43% number actually comes from Lightcast instead. That specific number measures a much narrower set of criteria. But the two completely different figures get mixed up constantly. Whoa. Imagine scaling to analyze nearly 1 billion job postings just to find that exact premium.
It is a truly staggering amount of data to process, but it shows why finding the exact source matters deeply. Another excellent example is the AI agent market size. A standard AI might claim it's exactly $103.6 billion.
It presents that massive number as an absolute, undeniable fact. But the verify step corrects this to a much broader range. Depending on the methodology, the range is actually massive. Different credible sources put it between 52 billion and 183 billion.
This is a massive flashing warning sign for you. Using a single definitive figure without a range is deeply dangerous. That is exactly how rampant misinformation spreads in AI content.
You can also selectively swap out these expert lenses. After reading the draft, ask yourself which perspective is missing. Maybe the default 5 skipped the actual reader's side entirely.
You can easily swap a default lens for something else. Try using beginner, content creator, or even end user. Just update the step 1 prompt and run it all again. 2-sec silence.
So a corrected label doesn't mean the AI failed. It just means the data is messy.
Right. It forces you to see the nuance instead of a fake absolute.
Let's summarize the core philosophy for you today. One standard prompt gives you one single narrow angle. That just isn't enough to hold up under serious pressure. It is like asking one person for critical directions.
By using STORM's multi-perspective approach, everything fundamentally changes. You research, you map contradictions, you synthesize, and crucially, you verify. You actively stop weak evidence from surviving the final cut.
It stops weak evidence from being dressed up in confident language. You essentially force the AI to do the incredibly hard work. You make it argue with itself before it answers you.
Yeah, you build a resilient answer.
If we can instantly spawn a panel of 5 virtual experts to debate any topic, it changes how we learn. But here is something to chew on. If we rely entirely on AI to map the contradictions of human knowledge, do we risk losing our own ability to spot the blind spots? Try running a topic you know deeply through the STORM workflow this week. See if the AI's experts catch the nuances you already know are there. OTRO music.